संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। You have heard small and beautiful talk and exposition from Swami Shitikanthananda. The gist of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings has been explained today. There's nothing more to learn. That is a technique and you need to follow. You have to put that into practice and you have to overcome this little I consciousness, a little individuality. That's all what we need to do in this life. To attain to that super consciousness state. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aisha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Praptya Vimuhyati Sthittvasya Mantakalepi Brahma Nirvana Muchyati. To get that Brahma Nirvana, Brahmi Sthiti is the ultimate goal of human life. We have been studying the life of Sri Ramakrishna, its relevance in the present context, and how we can benefit from that great life, from that great incarnation's teachings. Swami says in one place that Sri Ramakrishna and his disciples' lives, they are acting as a bunda, the bulwark, against the mighty tidal wave of materialism. Had it not been there, his lives and his teachings, we would have been washed away, we would have been swept away by now. The lives are holding us, our civilization, particularly Indian civilization. So Swami says, the difference between the Western civilization and Eastern civilization, India, they are trying to prove by doing, he says. We are trying to prove by submission. Doing, he means, if they get a want, a desire, they try to fulfill it. How? By inventing something, some external gadget, and they run here and there to fulfill that desire. So in India, we don't do that because the desires are infinite. We can't have all our desires fulfilled. So we turn inward. What is the source of desire? The mind. The problem of want itself we want to annihilate. And our rishis 5,000 years back, what they did, they did not run after the gadgets, objects of the senses. Because there was no end. Mind would keep on desiring more and more. If you satisfy one desire, it will long for something more. There was no end for this. So just they turned inward or found out the root of it. There is a source of, for all desires, mind is the source. And behind this source of mind is our real being and real personality. Behind this mind is the source of our real being and personality. And that they have proved, and they wanted us to lead a life of inwardness, to search inward, to find out the real source of our being. When you look at the life of a person like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, what we can learn, he never cared for the external world of name and form. Completely self-contented soul, full of bliss, always immersed in himself. Just by his life, by looking at his person, we can understand. So that the real search actually is yet to begin for us. What are we doing? We are also like the people in the West. We are trying to run after objects of the senses. So by that, we cannot really make ourselves happy. Swami says you are the 500-year-old civilization, the Americans. And he told Indian civilization 5,000 years old. You are still babies. You are yet to learn your lessons. Today, in the world, there is so much of conflict, so much of strife. All this is because man actually does not understand the basic philosophy of life. In India, we have that philosophy, but somehow we are not trying to get hold of it. We are not trying to retain that. We are not trying to hold on to that. Being hypnotized into believing that we are an inferior race, otherwise this kind of imitation will be there. The very fact that you are imitating another civilization, another culture shows that you don't value what you have, you are not self-confident. Ours is not a civilization, Indian civilization today, which believes in itself. We believe in them more. Their culture, their attitude, their way of life, everything only imitation. So in India, if you look at present day society, what is going on in the name of religion or spirituality? It's one superstition. Somebody was afraid of this, and the same thing has happened in fact. True religion is not there. The very fact that people are running after astrology, palmistry and vastu shows that they have become weakened. Desire makes us weak. That's why the message of Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Mother Sarada Devi is conquer the desire and realize your infinite nature. Swami says you are beyond the stars, you are beyond the planets, you can just hold them in your hand. The stars you can hold in your hands if you realize your infinite nature. As soul, as consciousness, you are so great, so profound, so vast, so infinite. And says, no scientist ever could discover the greatness of human being and human personality. And if that is your real worth and your personality, what are we doing? We are multiplying our wants and desires and unable to fulfill those desires. We are running after palmistry and astrology and vastu, and that's what religion is going on. These are superstitions, Swami says. We are not religious, we are not spiritual. We have become superstitious in the name of religion and spirituality. That's a fact. Swami says only weak people believe in astrology. There are old words. There may be an element of truth, definitely. It's a science. But how does it help us? It doesn't really help us. Swami gives a beautiful example, a story. Through that story actually conveys the message. You might have read that story, then complete works. An astrologer comes to a king. The king wants to know what happens to him in the future, how long he is going to live. An astrologer says, you live for only another 6 months. The king was actually out of his wits, frightened out of his wits. And actually was about to fall and die because of fear. And then he had a wise minister. The wise minister knew that actually astrologers were fools, they were all false. So he told king, no, they say many things they don't prove themselves, nothing happens, you don't worry, O king. But king was completely seized with fear. Then the minister had no other alternative. He called the astrologer. And said, what did you say? Yes, it's a fact. So I have searched his horoscope. I have studied the horoscope of the king. He will live only for 6 months. Then the minister said, no, once more you see the horoscope and tell him how long our king will live. No, my calculation is perfect. He went through the horoscope again and he said, now king will live only for 6 months more. And how long you are going to live? The minister asked the astrologer. So I live for another 12 years, he said. The minister draws the sword out and he cuts his head off. And king, he says to king, you see the astrologer, he said he will live for 12 years, now he is dead here. So, Swami says, there may be some truth in that. We don't say that it's not science, but that's not a true religion. And when our Paramarthaji Maharaj, he told about his astrology then, or Machilipatnam Bhakta Sammelan, an astrologer came forward, Swamiji, you being a representative of a Hindu organization, astrology, palmistry, all being part of our Hindu spiritual life, or part of our religion, you would not have condemned it like that. And he said, our Maharaj told, so Swamiji had said that only weak people believe in astrology. And he had an experience in the West. When he was in London, a young man comes, and Swamiji, I lost all my wealth in life. I want to earn money. You tell me some means. And okay, when you feel that you have failed in life, and naturally you become weak, and then you made a shortcut method. You go after all these uncanny methods, actually. So, Swamiji says that you don't try to multiply desires. That is the nature of mind. It seeks something, you get it, and again it seeks something more. It doesn't, the contentment, without a love for peaceable life, you should long for peace. Peace comes only in the train of contentment. If you are not contented, you cannot really become spiritual. And we are yet to understand this fundamental and simple and first lesson in life. So if you have to run about 16 hours a day just to act your livelihood, if you don't have leisure, spare time, you cannot really grow intellectually and spiritually. For intellectual and spiritual growth, this is the necessary prerequisite. You need to have leisure. And so you need to put a full stop somewhere for the median stand of life and say, this is enough for me, I don't need anything more. Then you can cultivate the mind because you have leisure, so leisure at your disposal. You can think, you can introspect, you can cogitate, you can reflect on the true meaning of life, And from that comes the intellectual life and spiritual life. The life of Sri Ramakrishna, holds like a bright example, a bright light that is there in front of us. Never cared a fig for the material things of life, but still he was completely satisfied with himself. What was his state? It was in nirvana, it was an eternal complete bliss. And Swamiji said, he had not even mind. Sri Ramakrishna never came to understand himself. He just spontaneously spoke, just a perfect instrument in the hands of the mother. Whereas Swamiji was comparing himself with Sri Ramakrishna, I had mind and I was giving ideas. And Western disciple remarked, Swamiji, that's what we like in you. You are an intellectual genius. And when you speak, we feel like listening to you and these truths actually. Swamiji said one word, because you are a fool like me. Because you are a fool like me, because we dwell at the level of mind. But my Guru Ramakrishna, he was full of consciousness, Chitkanaka, embodiment of consciousness. He had difficulty even holding to the mind. He had absolutely no desire. The mind will soar high and high and will get established in consciousness all the time. He had difficulty in bringing the mind down. Our problem is we have to raise the mind up to the level of consciousness. We are earthbound, actually he was completely supramundane, completely full of consciousness. So this life, the more you explore the life of Sri Ramakrishna, the more you study, the more you understand what is true spirituality. As I told just now in the beginning of my lecture, had it been for the life of Sri Ramakrishna and his great disciples, we would have lost our spirituality completely, because only superstition would have been with us. And Swamiji says that Sri Ramakrishna is a bulwark, the bond against the inroads of tidal wave of materialism. And only these lives actually are making us think and reflect. Have we gone wrong? What happened to our civilization? Why there is so much of conflict and strife in the world? Jesus Christ also says in the Bible, so blessed are the peacemakers in the world, for they shall be called sons of God. Today, how many peacemakers we have? We have troublemakers, we have conflict makers, we have strife makers, we have discord makers. We don't have peacemakers in the world. Why all this situation has come? Because man thinks that he can make himself happy only by material gadgets and external things. Ramakrishna's life says, O man, your search is in vain in the external world. Turn inward, turn inward. Vain is thy search for peace and happiness. Where you will get it? Turn inward and you will get it. You are by nature supreme bliss. Go beyond the mind, go beyond the desire, go beyond this high consciousness. Transcend the ego, you are supreme, you are one with the God. And that is the message that's coming to us from Sri Ramakrishna. The more we explore, the more we study, the more we get this person, his teachings, the more we understand what is true spirituality. I think the world is in need of such people today. That society which is found wanting for such people who really long for spirituality and thirst for peace and try to lead a contented life, that society which is found wanting for this kind of people, and that society cannot expect to live long. Swamiji warns us again and again, don't run after the Western materialism. The flash of the lightning is intensely bright, but only for a moment. The bedrock of Indian civilization is spirituality. Spirituality is the bedrock on which the nation edifice has been built. Hold on to that. See that it kept strong. If that becomes weakened, and you will become an extinct race within 3 generations. But unfortunately, last time also I told, in the name of secularism, all the spiritual ideas, the global ideas, all the great ideas, which no other civilization has, which no other race has, God has given only to India. Only to India. We are spiritually so rich. That is our real richness. That is our real value. We have become, actually we are the great heritage. That is our real heritage. That is our real sampada, fortune. But we don't consider it as a fortune. However, if we use the word fortune, only the material riches strikes our mind. Gold and land and buildings only when come. But Vivekananda, you study the life of Vivekananda, the teachings, the jnana sampada, the knowledge, that is our real asset. And actually, that has been bequeathed to us by these great sages of the ancient. And we need to, that is all. It's a Ummadi Varasatvam, it's our collective heritage. And we need to hold on to that. And we need to celebrate that. We need to enjoy that property, that sampada, that fortune, not the material fortune. That will make us weaker and weaker, and that will make our civilization and society weaker. If you want to become really a follower, a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, you need to become a peacemaker by seeking that true spirituality, by leading and by developing a contented life. By longing for a contented life, you can be a peacemaker. And that's how actually you can influence others. The more you are contented with yourself, and the more you execute that peace and the blessedness, and the more people will get attracted to you. And by seeing you, by looking at your example, and they come to Sri Ramakrishna. And as representative of Sri Ramakrishna, we need to do this. We need to reflect that consciousness, that life in our personal lives. The more we do that, actually, then we can consider ourselves as a real followers of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Mother Sada Devi and Vivekananda. These few words, I stop my lecture here. So now you will be hearing from Swami Raghunayakanji why Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is the Avatar Varishtaya, why he is Sarvatharma Samanvaya Swarupa. Swami Vivekananda defines him as Avatar Varishtha and also Sarvatharma Samanvaya Swarupa. And so now we will hear from Swamiji and how actually he has become Avatar Varishtha, the greatest of all the incarnations. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Pranams. పాశ్చాత్య సమాజానికి భారతీయ సమాజానికి స్వామీజీ చెప్తారు ఫండమెంటల్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళకి ఏమైనా కోరిక జనించిందనుకోండి, ఆ కోరికను తీర్చుకోవడానికి బాహ్య ప్రపంచంలో వెతుకుతూ ఉంటారు. ఒక వస్తువును సంపాదించుకుంటారు, దాంతో కోరిక టెంపరీగా తీరుతుంది, మళ్ళీ ఇంకో వస్తువు కోసం పరిగెడుతూ ఉంటారు. ఆ విధంగా రెస్ట్లెస్గా ఎప్పుడూ అలా పరిగెడుతూ ఉండి ఒక అస్థిరమైనటువంటి అశాంతియుతమైన సమాజాన్ని వాళ్ళు ఇప్పుడు స్థాపించుకున్నారు. మనం కూడా వాళ్ళని అనుకరిస్తూ వీరాల్సో పోయింది సేమ్ అదే పని చేస్తున్నాం మనం. కాకపోతే మన ఋషులు 5000 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం దాన్ని రుజువు చేశారు. అంటే కోరిక అనేటువంటిది అంతులేనిది అనమాట. ఒక కోరికను మనం తీర్చుకున్నాం అనుకోండి, మళ్ళీ ఇంకో కోరిక తలెత్తుంది మనస్సులో. కాబట్టి కోరికలు ఏమిటి పరిగెత్తడం కాదు, ఆ కోరికలకి సోర్స్ ఏది, ఆధారం ఏంటి, మనస్సు ఏమిటి అని చెప్పి వాళ్ళు అంతర్ముఖులయ్యి మనసును దాటి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత, ఓ మనిషి యు ఆర్ బై నేచర్ సుప్రీం బ్లిస్, నీ స్వభావమే ఆత్మ, నీ సచ్చిదానంద సాగర్, సచ్చిదానంద స్వరూపుడు. ఇది ఎందుకు ఇలా బాహ్య వస్తువులు, బాహ్య ఉపకరణాలు పడుతున్నావు శాంతి కోసం, ఫుల్ఫిల్మెంట్ కోసం, ఆనందం కోసం అని చెప్పి మనకి ఒక అంతర్ముఖ జీవనం గడపని చెప్పారు. లేకపోతే 5000 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం మనం ఈరోజు ఏదైతే చూస్తున్నాం సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ అంటున్నాం, దానికన్నా 100 రెట్లు గొప్ప నాగరికతని, భౌతికపరమైనటువంటి నాగరికతని వాళ్ళు డెవలప్ చేయగలిగారు, అభివృద్ధి చేయగలిగారు. వాళ్ళకి అంత కెపాసిటీ ఉంది. మన కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ లెవెల్స్ ఎట్లా ఉన్నాయి, మనకన్నా వాళ్ళు 1,000,000 times ఎక్కువ కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ వచ్చింది. ఎందుకంటే మనసును దాటిపోయారు కాబట్టి కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ ద్వారా ఏకాగ్రతను వాళ్ళు సాధించారు. అయితే అది వాళ్ళు మనకి ఇచ్చిన సందేశం. అయితే మనం ఇప్పుడు ఆ సందేశాన్ని మర్చిపోయి పాశ్చాత్యను అనుకరించడం వల్ల మన సమాజంలో కూడా అశాంతి అలజడి నెలకొంది. అందుకనే స్వామీజీ అంటారు, ఇప్పుడు ఈ మెషిన్ అనేటువంటిది ఇట్ డస్ నాట్ సాల్వ్ ద ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఆఫ్ వాంట్. ఇప్పుడు మెషిన్స్ వచ్చినాయి మనకి అన్నిటికీ, కానీ కోరికలు కూడా మల్టిప్లై పెరుగుతున్నాయి. కాబట్టి దానివల్ల సివిలైజేషన్ ప్రోగ్రెస్ అయింది నేను చెప్పలేము, నాగరికత అభివృద్ధి చెందుతుంది, పురోభివృద్ధి చెప్పలేము అనమాట. ఎప్పుడు చెప్పగలం అంటే ఈ కోరికలు తగ్గించుకుంటూ పోతూ కంటెంట్మెంట్ని, మన సంతృప్తిని పెంచుకొని అంతర్ముఖులు అయ్యే గొప్పనటువంటి భగవంతుని కనుక్కోవడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తే ఆటోమేటికల్గా మనం పీస్ మేకర్స్గా తయారవుతాం, శాంతి దూతలుగా తయారవుతాం. ఎప్పుడైతే మనలో ఆ శాంతి పవిత్రత కనపడిందో మనని చూసి మిగతా ప్రపంచం అంతా కూడా నేర్చుకుంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు రామకృష్ణ వారి జీవితం తెలిస్తే మనకు ప్రస్ఫుటంగా కనపడేది అది. ఏ ధనాన్ని సంపాదించుకోలేదు ఆయన, బాహ్య ప్రపంచం మీద ఎప్పుడూ దృష్టి పెట్టలేదు, కానీ ఆయన ప్రమాదంలో ఒలలాడుతూ ఉండేవాడు. ఆయన చూసి మనం అర్థం చేసుకోవాల్సింది ఏంటంటే ఈ బాహ్య వస్తువులు ఏవి కూడా మనకు నిజంగా సుఖాన్ని, సంతోషాన్ని ఇవ్వలేవు అని అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. కానీ మనం ఇప్పుడు అర్థం చేసుకున్నట్టు కనపడం, మనం వారిని ఊహిస్తూ ఉంటాం, చేస్తూ ఉంటాం, కానీ ఆ జీవితం నుంచి ఏదైతే పొందాలో ఆ ప్రేరణని కానీ ఆ స్ఫూర్తిని కానీ సరిగ్గా పొందామన్నమాట. నిజంగా మనం రామకృష్ణ అనుయాయిగా అయితే వాళ్ళ శిష్యులు మనం అనుకుంటే, మనం రామకృష్ణ వారు అర్థమయ్యారంటే మనం ఈ విధంగా శాంతిని, ఈ విధంగా బ్లెస్సెడ్నెస్, పవిత్రతని మన జీవితాల్లో మనం ఆచరించి చూపించి మన జీవితాల్లో ఆ శాంతి పవిత్రతను నెలకొల్పుకొని మిగతా వాళ్ళకి ఆదర్శంగా నిలబడాలి. అప్పుడు మనని చూసి వాళ్ళు ప్రేరణ పొంది వాళ్ళు రామకృష్ణ చదవడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తారు. ఏ సమాజంలో అయితే ఎక్కువ అలాంటి సంతుష్టితో ఉన్నటువంటి మనుషులు ఉన్నారో, వ్యక్తులు ఉన్నారో, ఆ సమాజం శాంతితో సుస్థిరత ఉంటుంది. ఏ సమాజంలో అలాంటి మనుషులు ఎక్కువ మంది లేరో, అందరూ కూడా ఈ బాహ్య వస్తువులు ప్రాణాలను పడుతూ పరిగెడుతుంటారో, అక్కడ ఏముంటుంది, ఇట్లనే స్ట్రైక్ ఉంటుంది, అశాంతి ఉంటుంది, అలజడి ఉంటుంది, దుఃఖం ఉంటుంది. ప్రపంచం మొత్తం అదే చూస్తున్నాం మనం. అయితే ప్రపంచం మొత్తం భారతదేశం వైపు చూస్తుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఈ ఆధ్యాత్మిక కోసం మనం వాళ్ళని అనుకరించి వాళ్ళని అనుసరిస్తూ మన జీవితాలను కూడా లోపభూయిష్టంగా చేసుకుంటున్నాం. మన సమాజం కూడా ఇప్పుడు అశాంతిమయంగా తయారైంది. ఎందుకంటే మన స్పిరిచువాలిటీ, మన ఆధ్యాత్మికతను అర్థంగా చేసుకోలేదు. ఇప్పుడు ఆధ్యాత్మిక పేరుతో మన దేశంలో కూడా చలామణి ఏది అంటే ఈ జ్యోతిష్కం, ఈ హస్త సాముద్రికం ప్లస్ వాస్తు, ఇది మాత్రమే. లేకపోతే కొన్ని పూజలు, కొన్ని సూపర్ఫిషియల్ రిచువల్స్ తప్ప రియల్ రిలీజియన్, నిజమైనటువంటి ఆధ్యాత్మికత ఏమైతే ఉందో, స్వామి ఎవ్రీ సోల్ ఇస్ పొటెన్షియల్ డివైన్, ఆ దైవత్వం నీలో నివిడీకృతమైంది. ఆ దైవత్వాన్ని మేనిఫెస్ట్ చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నించు, ఆ దైవత్వాన్ని అభివ్యక్తీకరించడానికి ప్రయత్నించు. ఎలా ఆ దైవత్వాన్ని అభివ్యక్తీకరించుకోవాలని దాని మీద 4 యోగాలు స్వామీజీ ఇచ్చారు బ్యూటిఫుల్గా. దాన్ని అనుభవాన్ని చెప్పారు. కథామృతం నుంచి ఆ చిన్న అహంకారం నేను అయినటువంటిది పోగొట్టుకుంటే మొత్తం మనకి అవతల ఉన్నటువంటిది ఏంటంటే సచ్చిదానంద సాగరమే. అది కనీసం పోగొట్టుకోలేకపోతే ఆ కాచాన్ని పాకామిగా మార్చుకోమని చెప్తారు. అన్రైపీగా రైపీగా మార్చుకో, నేను భగవంతుడి భక్తుని, నేను భగవంతుడి చేతుల ఉపకరణాన్ని, ఆ భావన ఉన్నా చాలు మనం చాలా పురోగతిని సాధించేవాడు. అసలు పూర్తిగా కోరికలు లేకపోతే నో టైం టు గెట్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ స్పిరిట్ అండ్ కాన్షియస్నెస్. పూర్తిగా ఆ కోరికలు మనం అధిగమిస్తే మనం అప్పుడే వెంటనే మనం భగవంతుడు లీనమై ఉంటాం, భగవంతుడిగానే మిగులుతాం. అలాంటి మహోన్నతమైనటువంటి అవకాశం మిగతా సమాజానికి, మిగతా జాతులకు లేదు. మనం నిజంగా ఆధ్యాత్మికను అర్థం చేసుకున్న వాళ్ళం అయితే, రామకృష్ణ మనకు అర్థమైనట్లయితే మన జీవితంలో అది ప్రతిఫలించాలి. ఆ కంటెంట్మైనటువంటిది, ఆ పవిత్రత అనేటువంటిది రావాలి. అది వచ్చినప్పుడు మనం అందరినీ కూడా ప్రభావితం చేయగలుగుతాం. ఆ విధంగా మనం నిజంగా రామకృష్ణ శిష్యులని మనం తెలుసుకోవచ్చు. హరి ఓం. శ్రీరామకృష్ణ.